Shout out to everybody. I want to talk to y'all real quick, home theater community, real quick, down in the comment section below. What movies have y'all been watching? I do want to say I watched a movie called Pixel, right? And I'll end up talking about that a little bit later. But first, I do want to get to this. Can we trust him? Your boy has been doing some research on some products, listening to different products and, all of that, and, kind of experiencing owning some of these products and looking around and see if people are giving us accurate information, or are they bought and sold by the distributors? You know what I mean? I don't know. So Tech Enthusiasm is one. I will say this. He gives a decent amount of information on a lot of products. If people don't know, he's a Kaleidescape dealer. He's got like an Anthem AVM 90, but he is a Kaleidescape dealer. He's got a Kaleidescape, I think, Strato V. He's got a Terra server. He also is a SVS dealer. And he just, I think, got rid of his subs and got new subs. He's got like new SB17 subwoofers. I think he's got like 4 of them. And he's kind of, he'll every once in a while, he'll give us information on the Anthem, Arc Genesis. He'll give us information on what's going on with Apple TVs, different things like that, and what's going on with home theater. And for the most part, I do want to say, I think his information is kind of spot on. One thing that is troubling to some people, and it's starting to bother him, because he is a dealer for some of these companies. It kind of brings in a question to a lot of people: is what he's saying accurate? I will say this: when Apple TV was thought to have audio pass-through in a new update, people were wondering like whether or not the Apple pass-through could take over what Kaleidescape was doing. And he was very vocal about, being against that, like anything that was even remotely positive about the potential of, Apple TV using audio pass-through. He immediately rushed, did a video, and kind of went against that, because he is a Kaleidescape dealer and he wants to continue, I'm sure, to make money off of it. As far as the Kaleidescape, I don't feel like he does tell you exactly what is happening with the Kaleidescape. Like from my user experience, he does tell you mostly a lot of positives and benefits. And that's what people really do as reviewers all, far and wide. But he don't tell you things like, there's no CEC function. This can cause issues through the chain. If you've got, different things hooked up, you got to turn everything off. He may not tell you about like some of the movies that are, DTS, HD masters instead of, Dolby Atmos. He doesn't tell you about that. It's just like, it's a lot of things he doesn't tell you about. And I wonder if he's not telling us about some of these things because he's trying to sell the product, or is it just something that maybe he is not having a problem with? But when I talk to other people who have Kaleidescapes, or even on Facebook, some people say, oh man, I thought I was the only person that noticed that some of these 4K movies on Kaleidescape don't have Atmos, or like I do have like, a bit of handshake issues, and, I would like CEC for a product that costs this much. And, like the Terra server being astronomically expensive can be like an issue or a problem for some people. Like, a lot of people feel a little bit more comfortable voicing their concerns about the Kaleidescape. I will say, as a whole, the Kaleidescape gives a good benefit in terms of convenience, and downloading, 4K UHD movies, and I think a lot of times the movies do look better than disc. A lot of times it does. Like even if it's like 1% better, like it looks better. Sound wise, hit or miss. Like sometimes it sounds better, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes like the DTS HD Master may actually sound better than the Atmos. When my processor upmixes it to Neural X, and sometimes it does sound better than Atmos. And a lot of us have to look at Atmos a little bit differently, because when when Atmos first started coming out and controlling and dominating everything, we just thought like, yo, that's just what you gotta listen to now. And sometimes like some Atmos mixes may not be the best. in terms of like dynamic range and all of that. Like it may be a better cohesive experience, but as far as and then the object movements and stuff like that may be a little bit more apparent. But as far as dynamics, as you can tell with the latest iteration of Tron Legacy that was remastered in Dolby Atmos and 4K, you can tell like the DTS HD Master or whatever would sound better than the Atmos. Like it sounds way better. So Atmos isn't always the thing, but it is, a little bit frustrating to have paid this much money for a system and some movies are not in Atmos. That is very frustrating. Also, another frustrating thing that I had to deal with, and I think I've even said this on the Tech Enthusiasm comment section, is that Kaleidescape is trying to mimic Apple TV, and to the point to where, like when you rewind something, the captions will automatically start playing, and I think that is very annoying. And the Kaleidescape, there is no way to turn that off. So if you have to rewind something, you're going to see subtitles unless there is a way you have to go into the menu and you have to manually turn off subtitles. But by the time you do that, it's taking you a little bit out of what you want to see. I think that's a problem. I think Kaleidescape needs to fix that issue, and this is some things that, Tech Enthusiasm, amongst other things that he doesn't talk about because he is a dealer. Now, does that mean you can't get good information from him? No, it doesn't, because sometimes he will like do a thorough breakdown on a new update that may happen with the Kaleidescape, or, something that may happen with Arc Genesis or something, with the Apple TV or something, and he'll let you know what's going on. He will, like if it's anything threatening the Kaleidescape, like the audio pass-through, he will spend an exorbitant amount of time like breaking down why that is no way possible to happen. You know what I mean? Even though the code says that, they could, potentially release audio pass-through, and it would just be up to the app developers to whether or not they want to, allow it to be used. Now, I want to say like Apple TV, to me, it sounds okay, depending on which app you're listening to the movie through. Some of them sound good, some of them sound bad. You know what I mean? But your processing everything is going to always be a little bit better than what an Apple TV can do, because the Apple TV is a little bit more synthetic in the Atmos delivery. It's there, it's decent, but it's synthetic. Whereas like if the processor was fully processing everything, it will be a little bit wider sounding, like bigger sounding, like if I listen to Gravity through the Apple TV, it sounds really good. It actually looks better on the Apple TV, Gravity. Or if I play it on a Kaleidescape or the disc, I've got the disc and I've got it on a Kaleidescape, it looks better on Apple TV. They may have refinished it for Apple TV, but it sounds better on disc, you know what I'm saying? Or it sounds better on the Kaleidescape. It's just a wider sound, even though it sounds really big with the Apple TV. They did a really good job with that Atmos mix. It's just a slightly bigger on the Kaleidescape version to me. You can just hear a little bit more things that the Apple TV may have not been able to reproduce, but for the most part, I think the Apple TV is a fairly decent device. Like for the price point it is and what you can get out of it, it's fairly decent. It's just when you want to watch something that you feel like is demo worthy or something, then you want to go to your disc or you want to go to your Kaleidescape to watch it. And I feel like, fans being excited about the possibility of audio pass-through shouldn't be looked at as a negative. And I feel like Tech Enthusiasm, even though he is as great as he is as a reviewer, I feel like he does look at anything that is a threat to Kaleidescape as a negative, and that is what I feel biases his opinion on things. You know what I mean? But I still check him out. I still listen to what he says every once in a while, but I keep that in mind that, there are biases because he's a dealer. He even says it after some videos. Like I said, he'll say, like, even with the SB17 review, he was just like, yeah, I know I'm a dealer and people may question my thoughts because I'm a dealer, but it really sounds good and all of that. He's a dealer. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys are dealers. It's just what it is. So it's what you're going to have to deal with, especially when they have YouTube channels, because you don't have many people like me that's not affiliated. that have YouTube channels is going to tell you what it is. If I get a product in and it sounds really good, I'm going to tell you it sounds really good. I'm going to tell you the drawbacks of it. I'm going to tell you the positives about it. I feel like even though I've said negative things about Kaleidescape, I say way more positive things about Kaleidescape. But I do feel like consumers need to know some of the negatives or some of the drawbacks, before they end up investing so much money into a Strato V. A Strato E makes more economical sense because the money that you can have, saved, what is it, like $2,000, $2,400, whatever, saved, you can apply that towards a Terra server in the future, or you can apply that to different theater equipment. So that may be a better, option for some people, even though you may only be able to store 5 movies. But the Strato V, it's so expensive. And then like the Terra server is just insanely expensive. And sometimes I don't feel like I'm getting like my worth out of it, because there are movies that are done in, and Atmos is not in Atmos. And this is something that these people are not going to tell you, so, but I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think. As far as he seems like a decent guy, but I used to watch his channel. And then when I went to Audio Advice Live, I seen how cool he was with some of these, what are they called? Manufacturers. And then it kind of raised my antenna, so I started watching a little bit more. And then, yeah, like he's a dealer, so I don't know, but trust him or not, let me know down in the comment section how y'all feel about it. I'm not, come rate, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about that. Peace.